welcome Randy Cross and Hall of Famer Dan Fouts. The big news earlier this week in the Jets camp was that head coach Eric Mangini had welcomed on Friday the third son to the Mangini clan. His name, Zach, first name, middle name, Brett. It just happened to be Friday was Brett Favre's 39th birthday, Dan.
Well, at 39, Dick, he's still playing like a rookie. He has a lot of fun. He plays with exuberance, but it's his aggressiveness down the field that impresses me so much. Last week against Arizona, he did something he's never done in his Hall of Fame career, and that's throw 6 touchdown passes. He found Lavernius Coles for 3 of them. He can reach every part of the field with that big arm, has not lost anything off his fastball. Reminds me so much of the Hall of Famer, John Elway.
So the Jets are 2-2. The bad news perhaps is the fact that their running game really isn't up to gear. They're averaging 85 yards a game.
Well, not yet, but Brett Favre's used to this. Last year in 2007, he carried the Green Bay Packers on that right arm, and he was the reason they got off to that great start. But it wasn't until Ryan Grant came in at running back that they were truly a complete offense. Look for Thomas Jones and Leon Washington to try to be that additive to the Jets offense. That'll not only bring the running game, it'll bring the play action pass into effect.
The Meadowlands, it's been an unfriendly environment for Cincinnati. They've been here 9 times. They've lost all 9, 6 to the Jets. And for Marvin Lewis, the worst start in his coaching career with the Bengals, 0-5. What are they going to do?
That's almost the good news, because the bad news is he's got to try to do it without Carson Palmer. That right elbow is just giving him too much trouble. He's the 3rd quarterback today. He's not even in uniform, and it's going to be up to Ryan Kirkpatrick to lead him. And Dan, you saw Ryan Kirkpatrick in his only start.
Well, he had some few rough spots against the Cleveland Browns, to say the least. Threw 3 interceptions, fumbled 1 time, but he had some positive plays as well. He found the end zone 1 time. He scrambled with the ball. He's a smart kid from Harvard. He's got to play smart today.
All right, that takes us to our Home Depot tools to victory.
Well, Cedric Benson for the Bengals will play a lot more today, especially in light of Chris Perry's fumble problems. He wants to make a positive impact for the Bengals and for himself.
Brett Favre, encore performance? More than likely not. I don't think we'll see 6 touchdown passes, but I do think we'll see a complete offense out of the New York Jets.
And for Ryan Fitzpatrick, an economic major at Harvard, he needs a bailout plan today. And 3 sacks, 2 interceptions for the Bengal defense. That's lipstick on a Bengal.
And I look for the New York Jets to dominate in the middle, not only offensively with their inside 3 against the Bengals defense, but really look for big Chris Jenkins to dominate that offensive side of the ball for the New York Jets defense. And points off turnovers. You're going to get turnovers, Jets. You got to have touchdowns.
For more Home Depot player statistics, you can log on to CBSSports.com. So the Jets in their throwback uniforms, isn't that appropriate with Favre at 39, their quarterback? He wore them 2 weeks ago when he threw those 6 touchdowns. We're set to go in the Meadowlands. The coin, and the Jets will get it first. A veteran Favre hasn't missed a game in 17 seasons against a young quarterback Fitzpatrick, starting on only his 5th NFL game. Today's game brought to you in high definition by Sony. High definition, it's in Sony's DNA.
Presenting Subway Fresh.
set to go on an ideal day. Look at that, 69 degrees, very little wind, sunny skies, a perfect early autumn afternoon. As the Jets 2-2 tangle with the Bengals at 0-5, and new Cincinnati place kicker Dave Rayner. He signed this past week, replacing the injured Shane Graham. Graham not in uniform with a groin. So Rayner will have the kicking duties today. And at the other end, elusive Leon Washington, voted by the Jets players as their most valuable player a year ago. 3 kickoff return touchdowns for Washington, who played at Florida State. And he touches it first as he cruises to the 5. And wrapped up shy of the 25-yard line. And out come the New York Jets on offense. And once again, number 4, Brett Favre, leading the NFL at 39 with 12 touchdowns, has the best completion percentage, 70%, as he makes his 280th consecutive start. Where do you start with the superlatives in talking about Brett Favre? Opening play from the 24-yard line. Thomas Jones, the tailback. Fake to Jones, and they give it to Lavernius Coles. And Coles across the 25 for a 3-yard gain. Jets offensively, 4 first-round picks in that offensive line. Alan Faneca, the ex-Steeler, brings 7 Pro Bowls to the lineup. And you just saw Lavernius Coles fresh off that 3-touchdown catch performance, and the Jets' last win, as he and Favre, with each play, familiarize themselves rather quickly. The old Titan uniforms from 1960. There's a little flanker screen. This time it goes to Cotchery, and Cotchery across the 30. Another short gainer. Marvin White and Leon Hall make the tackle. Defensively for Cincinnati, Orion Harris gets the call at defensive tackle for John Thornton. Thornton not in uniform. Bengals have an outstanding looking young rookie linebacker, their #1 pick from Southern California, Keith Rivers. And another young player that's earning notice, Leon Hall at corner. He's developed into one of the league's most reliable covermen, and it's Leon Hall that leaves the field after the second scrimmage play. So we have an early timeout here in the Meadowlands. Jets coming up on 3rd down.
At Southwest Airlines, we don't charge fees.
And welcome back, 3rd and 2.5 for the Jets. Leon Washington in the backfield, far from the shotgun. Leon Hall with the timeout, able to come right back into the game, so no serious injury there. Favre hit and fumbles the ball. This is going to be a Cincinnati touchdown as Chinedum Ndukwe scoops it up and scores. It was Antoine Odom who blindsided Favre for the fumble.
Antoine Odom, the free agent that came in from Tennessee for Marvin Lewis, just does a beautiful job of coming off the corner. And simply, Dan, isn't this something young quarterbacks learn pretty early? You better cover that thing up in a crowd.
You know, he was stepping up into the pocket, and that crowd crushed in on him. Great bounce for Ndukwe to take it in for the touchdown. Great start for the Cincinnati Bengals to not only stop the Jets on 3 plays, but to get 7 points out of it, perhaps.
Odom, who played at Tennessee a year ago, that's his 3rd fumble return for a touchdown in his 5-year career out of Alabama. Dave Rayner for the extra point, and the new Bengal kicker punches it through. And on a 16-yard run with the fumble, Antoine Odom forced it, and then Ndukwe scored it. David Letterman's home, and Ndukwe, who had a fumble return for a touchdown last year against Miami, his second, this second-year man out of Notre Dame, as Antoine Odom jarred it free, and Ndukwe in the right spot at the right time for the Bengals to take the early lead 7-0.
And remember, he's filling in for Dexter Jackson, their really fine, strong safety who has a thumb problem. They expected him to be ready to play today, but apparently not. And Ndukwe, there's been no drop-off at all with him at strong safety.
Back-to-back games, Dick, where the Jets have given up a touchdown to the other guy's defense.
Leon Washington, ever dangerous, perched at the goal line as Rayner kicks it off again. High spinner that comes up shy of the 5. Here goes Washington, finds a little crease, hits the sidelines, and he's out to the 50-yard line, and finally tackled at the 47 of the Bengals by Hernandez-Jones.
Boy, he found just a little crease, too, in this wedge. Took him a while to get to it. But it's the smallest hole possible for the very small running back, Leon Washington. A great boost, though, for this Jet offense. As you said, Randy, they got to be concerned about their slow starts the last 2 weeks. They have a pretty good second quarter against Arizona last week, but 2 touchdowns in the first quarter given up by the offense.
Got to see a little of that running, Dick, when it comes to the running game on the offensive side.
Washington stays in the game after that 46-yard return, and he takes the handoff from Favre, and he's belted in the backfield. Didn't get back to the line of scrimmage as Dhani Jones played 4 years on this field as a New York Giant. 9th year out of Michigan, makes the tackle.
And this Bengals defense, I'm sure, has heard enough of how bad they are against the run, Dan. And when you're attacking this kind of a defense, can you get impatient or too impatient trying to sell the run so you can get things down the field?
Well, that stat of 170 yards a game given up on the ground makes you want to keep running the ball and establish that run early.
Second down, a long 10, actually closer to 11 for Favre. A little draw action. And it's Thomas Jones up the middle to the 40, 3-yard shy of a first down. You saw that note that under Mangini, after a bye week, the Jets are 2-0. Those aren't ordinary wins by any means. They beat the Patriots 17-14 after a bye week, and then they beat the Steelers 19-16 in overtime after the bye week.
Well, that credit goes to the staff. I mean, Eric Mangini and his staff have done a great job the last 2 years getting this team ready, and this is not the kind of start you draw up coming off a bye to be down 7-zip on your own mistake.
Both Washington and Jesse Chapman in the backfield with Favre on 3rd and 3. Good protection this time underneath, complete at the 39. I don't think that's going to be enough. It'll be shy of the first down as Lavernius Coles with that bullet from Favre, but short yardage. It looks as if it'll be about 4th and 1.
Don't be surprised if Eric Mangini goes for it here. I wouldn't mind seeing them go for it here with this offense.
7 times this year, Randy, they've gone for it, and they've converted 6 of those 7.
Well,
kind of like that old Bill Parcells theory, huh?
Exactly, and this is the reason you got an Alan Faneca in free agency, and you paid the kind of money you did to Faneca. He was supposed to bring this attitude, and attitude is how you win these kind of matchups on 4th down.
Jets are 4 for 4 on 4th and 1 in this young season. Favre gets away from pressure, doesn't run it. He's got the first down to Coles. They hook up again.
That's where Brett Favre is so good, his pocket awareness, knowing he needs just a couple of yards. He was tempted to run with this one. His original receiver is covered. He comes out of the pocket, finds old reliable for Jet fans, Lavernius Cole. Big first down as the Jets convert.
Hey, Dan, will a young quarterback run that?
Absolutely. I mean, if that's Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's running the hook slide. You bet. First instinct, go for it.
First down from the 30. Jones, the running back. Fake to him. Favre looks to the sidelines. Wide open is Cotchery. And he's out of bounds at the 7-yard line. Marvin White ran him off the field of play.
And you know, Randy, another thing an old quarterback will do is he'll find where the soft spot is in the secondary after the play fake. You can see the pocket he gets, and then who's he throwing after? Leon Hall. Leon Hall got hurt moments ago, so Favre is going to go test him with this strike.
David Jones, the moment playing for Leon Hall at that right corner.
Yeah, you give Brett Favre that kind of time, you need your head examined. You better be blitzing. You better be going after him.
23 yards on that throw by Favre. 1st and goal. The pump and then the draw. Leon Washington submarines into the 4-yard line. Frosty Rucker, defensive end, with a tackle.
Yeah, Randy, when you see some of these play action fakes that Brett Favre does, it's almost like he's invented these moves. That pump fake to the outside, then the draw. Nobody did that before Brett Favre.
Or the jump fake.
Well, and the other thing about it is
jump pass.
His hands are so big.
They better be when you make that kind of aggressive fake.
No question.
A lot of quarterbacks couldn't give that much energy to the fake or the ball would be on the ground. 2nd and goal at the 4. Spread for Favre. Washington with him. He drills this incomplete. Trying to hit Lavernius Coles, covered by David Jones.
You know, last week, and there was a note in the paper last week against, or 2 weeks ago against the Arizona Cardinals, Brett Favre had made the comment that he'd never thrown a fade pattern for a touchdown, and we asked him about that the other day, and he's, you know, Dan, it was curious, but it made a lot of sense, his explanation.
Well, the fade is better thrown from under center because you can get the ball to the receiver quicker. When you're in the shotgun, you have to wait for the snap. That time, I bet you that's the first time he's thrown the stop fade from the shotgun, and you can see how difficult it was. He missed him by a mile. Timing was completely off.
Two receivers to each side. Leon Washington in the backfield, 3rd and goal. Bump, in trouble, gets away. Gonna run it? Yes. No, then he throws. Touchdown. The flag is down. It was thrown to Dustin Keller, the rookie tight end. Was he beyond the line of scrimmage?
But did we get an offensive lineman beyond the line of scrimmage, an eligible receiver downfield?
I think you both may be right on this one. There definitely was an
eligible member of the offense illegally downfield. Number 65, 5-yard penalty, replay 3rd down.
Brandon Moore, the right guard, got a little itchy and moved forward. He thought Favre was going to scramble and run.
Well, you're paid as an offensive lineman to do a lot of things, but when you have a 38-year-old former Hall of Famer as your quarterback, you're going to take care of him, and you're looking for somebody to hunt up and hit.
Yeah, you really can't blame the guys for getting out there in front of Favre, but what an effort by Favre to spin away from the original tackler, then keep his wits about himself and find the open receiver.
Remember who and where he was. He's 38 years old, and he had a chance to throw a touchdown instead of running.
He's 39 now.
Oh, that's right.
All right, here comes the full blitz on Favre. He throws underneath. Touchdown, Jericho. Cotchery. 2 flags are down.
Offensive pass interference.
Yeah, this one's coming back. Chancey Stuckey went out and picked the defensive back covering Cotchery. That's why Cotchery was so wide open.
Pass interference. Offense. Number 83. 10-yard penalty. Replay 3rd down.
Randy, you're supposed to be watching the pass blocking, not the secondary. That's my job, man. Good call.
Well, I was in an offense that made a steady diet of this growing up in football, and Chancey Stuckey just comes from that inside position and runs right through the defensive back, and the official's right there.
Wait a minute, the 49ers and Walsh used the pick play?
It was called the rub.
You know why we called it?
Officials called it a pick.
We called it the rub because the official is standing so close to the huddle, he could hear the word pick when the quarterback called it, so we had to change that. At least we did in San Diego. And San Francisco copied us, of course.
So 2 touchdowns have been nullified by penalty here. And again, 3rd and goal. Favre throwing it deep and wide open, but incomplete as he threw for Coles. And another flag is down.
2. We got a late hit over here, and you might have had a hold coming off that break.
The late hit is obvious. The question on the first flag, is it holding or pass interference?
It was Marvin White, the safety, late there in the white outside the end zone with that hit.
Referee Gene Sterator calls a caucus there at the 5-yard line. So 3 successive plays, all with penalties. Marv Lewis hoping his team can hold on here and protect that 7-0 early advantage.
These red zone mistakes, they will haunt you late.
There is no foul for unnecessary roughness on a hit on a defenseless receiver in the end zone. However, there is illegal contact, defense number 29. That is a 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That's the killer, the automatic first down part of it. Leon Hall battling injuries here, being picked on by Favre. Costly penalty that time.
I'm not sure, though, if they're really saying he's limping. He looks like he's fine physically, Dan. This looks like it was kind of the plan coming in from the get-go. He just cooperated in coming out on that first play.
So the Titans Jets go from 3rd and goal at the 19 to 1st and 10 at the 14 on the 5-yard defensive hold. Tony Richardson in at fullback in this set. And Jones follows him up the middle and creases the 10 down to the 8-yard line.
Kind of an ironic just convergence we have here at the Meadowlands today with Thomas Jones, former Chicago Bear running back, and came here as an opportunity to sort of restart things from Chicago, and the story has kind of followed him here with Cedric Benson on the other sideline today, sharing a football field for the first time since their days back in Chicago.
And there won't be a whole lot of hugs and handshakes between those two.
No, quick throw out and a beautiful move by Kotchery, and he ducks out of bounds at the 1-yard line.
So he steps out about the 1.5, 2, Dick, and he had that ball. Remember, the old end zone that went around the world no longer exists. You got to get it inside the cone. He saw he couldn't reach it all the way to the pylon there, and he pulled it back.
Big play by Ndukwe coming over there and forcing him out of bounds, but what a great move it was by Kotchery to get inside the 5-yard line.
Yards after catch was also always huge for Brett Favre in Green Bay, and these are the perfect receivers now with Coles and Kotchery to do the same thing.
Jets have only 1 rushing touchdown in their first 4 games. First and goal at the 2. And Favre swings it wide open. Thomas Jones, the halfback, left alone in the flat, and Favre hit him quickly for the score. And this one counts.
Was that stealing, Dan, or what?
I'm not sure what the Bengals were thinking on defense. A little play action fake. Nothing spectacular about the fake. Jones, nothing spectacular about the route. Nothing really spectacular about the throw.
That was out of playbooks, I think, that were first printed out about 40, 50 years ago with the fake back coming through and being the receiver out in the flat.
Jay Feely still doing the place kicking for the Jets, and he ties it up at 7. A 47-yard drive that was set up by the Leon Washington kick return of 46 yards, and the 2-yard touchdown from Favre to Jones to tie. Look at that. We're at the midpoint of the opening quarter, and the Bengals haven't run an offensive play. And welcome back. Don't set your fantasy league lineup without watching Fantasy Football Today. It's live every Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern, only on CBSSports.com. Well, the drive set up by Leon Washington's Sterling kick return. And then the touchdown Favre to Jones, the payoff from 2 yards out after a couple of Jets touchdowns nullified by penalty. Favre 5 for 6.
And Dick, just to put it in perspective, 455 touchdown passes now thrown by Favre, exactly 201 more than I threw.
But who's counting?
I am.
455? That's 450 more than Ryan Fitzpatrick is about to get the ball.
It's Glenn Holt, who had a kick return for touchdown a year ago. The ex-Kentucky Wildcat protecting the ball. He's had some fumble problems in the past, and hit at the 23 by Wallace Wright. Ryan Fitzpatrick from Harvard University makes his 5th NFL start today. And welcome back. Ryan Fitzpatrick finally getting a chance to run the Bengal offense, as the Jets with a fumble and a Bengal defensive touchdown, and then the drive by New York consuming more than half of this opening quarter. Into Chris Perry, and Perry plagued by fumbleitis this year. 5 times he's fumbled and lost 3 of them. The 224-pounder from Michigan gets the first call. He's 25, is Fitzpatrick. They say he has the speed of a tailback. He'll need it to buy time against the Jets pass rush. In front, helping him along the way, the offensive line, Eric Gajcek at center. He's got his hands full trying to block the big Chris Jenkins breathing right into his face mask. 2nd and long. First pass for Fitzpatrick. He needed more speed than that. Eric Barton caught him by the heels at the 25-yard line. That'll go as a sack for Barton. There is the offensive line for Cincinnati. Gajcek at 300 pounds facing a man 60 pounds heavier, the nose tackle Chris Jenkins of the Jets. And T.J. Houshmandzadeh, 31 catches and 3 touchdowns already for Houshmandzadeh. He ranks among the NFL elite. 3rd and 8. Bengals offense has not scored in the opening quarter this year. Defense finally got them one early today. Here comes the pressure. Flag down. Fitzpatrick shows you those legs and dives for what would be a first down, but We may have a hold back trying to protect Fitzpatrick.
Holding. Offense. Number 53. 10-yard penalty. Replay third down.
The center from Central Michigan, Guycheck, guilty of the hold.
Guycheck lining up in the middle, and Ellis is working up against him. Sean Ellis gets all the way around him and then helps gravity out a little bit. Sean Ellis was starting to go to the ground, and Eric Guycheck got a little pull on the front of his jersey to help him to the ground.
Bengals were second best in the entire league. They allowed only 17 sacks all last year. That sack was their 16th here in the sixth game of the year for them. On 3rd and 16. Goes short, gets some of the yardage back, but certainly not the first down. Ben Utek, former Indianapolis Colt, tackled across the 20. Punting team comes on. Quickly introduce the Jets for you. There is Chris Jenkins at 360 pounds. He'll occupy a couple of blockers all day. David Harris leads the Jets in tackles again, the second-year man for Michigan. And safety Eric Smith is serving a one-game league suspension for a high hit. Abram Elam starts at his spot in the back four. Kyle Larson, the punter. And it's a high wobbler that Leon Washington is going to fair catch at the 42-yard line. So good field position again for the New York Jets on only a 35-yard Larson punt. Back at Giant Stadium in the Meadowlands, 7-all here in the first quarter. Dick Enberg, Randy Cross, Dan Fouts with you. 42-yard line. The Jets have had the best starting position of any NFL team. Their average 36-yard line, and the last two possessions much better than that. Again, that draw action, and Thomas Jones this time out across the 45 to the 46. Orion Harris getting his first NFL start for the injured John Thornton in on the tackle.
What a luxury to have a fullback like Tony Richardson leading the way for these running backs at 258, 60 pounds, whatever. Great career and can still get the job done.
And is actually, I think, a lot better receiver than most people realize when they see his stats as far as his size. He can catch the ball pretty well coming out of the backfield.
Two tight ends, the rookie Keller and Bubba Franks, bookend the line. Favre gets it out of traffic and a first down to Coles at the 45-yard line. It's the Bengals here. How about the Wildcat in Miami? Is it growling? Let's go to JB.
Hey, Dick and Randy, I know Randy and Dan certainly would have thought this. The Wildcat offense, back to Ronnie Brown, handoff to Ricky Williams, then to Chad Pennington. He goes up top to a wide-open Patrick Hobbs. The entire defense sucked up expecting that previous Wildcat play. They pay the price. Back to Dick, Randy, and Dan.
All right, JB. So that's what Pennington's supposed to be doing out there.
That was a great job on the pregame show, kind of explaining the Wildcat.
Leon Washington now first down behind Favre, and he gets the toss. Hits the corner and then is bumped out of bounds by Ndukwe.
Oh, that was a heck of a contact on the sideline. Leon Washington missed that straight arm on Ndukwe, was forced out of bounds and started taking out bodies late. Did a nice job there. DeBerkshire Ferguson getting out and just splattering on the corner with the cornerback, and you miss that straight arm, and then there's coaches and trainers and equipment guys splattering everywhere.
Yeah, one of the trainers got hit and hit the back of his head on the ground, checking him out. Let's hope he's okay. That was a big hit.
Second and long. Here's the end around to Stuckey. Chancey Stuckey, the wide receiver from Clemson, finally seeing duty and doing well. 3 touchdowns for him in his first NFL action. Let's go to JB for this update.
Hey, Dick, the Ravens had not allowed a touchdown in the first quarter of the season. Well, 2 today. Peyton Manning out of the shotgun, hooking up with Reggie Wayne. Nice touch pass. I know Dan Fouts can appreciate that. 14-0 on top of the Ravens. Dick, Randy, and Dan.
And it spiraled too, Dan.
Unbelievable.
It's 3rd down and 7. Favre dumps it off to Washington in the flat. Boy, he is Impossible to catch. Slippery, sliding little Leon Washington darting away from the defender and picks up the first down.
How about that? How about, Dan, that great audio at the beginning with Brett Favre in his snap count? This crowd's figured out pretty fast about quieting down when the Jets have the ball.
He's got all the tricks. He also knows where his outlet receiver is at all times, getting more comfortable in the offense with the reads, with the terminology, and with that type of pass pro, the Bengals could be in huge trouble today.
And another great example of bad NFL tackling on that first guy that gets to the receiver.
First down at the 34. Favre, a hot hand again, 8 for 9 passing. That's to Jones up the middle and moves the pile for maybe 2.
You know, Randy, you talked about the speed that Felix Jones of the Cowboys had so much success last week against this Bengal defense. We're seeing the Jets trying to copy some of that with Leon Washington, but also with some wide end, tight end reverses and then fakes off of that and just pounding them in the middle. So it's a good offensive running attack right now for the Jets. Wide plays and then hitting them right in the mouth.
And you saw a little something there with Brad Smith coming on that end around. They'll come back to that. They'll give the ball to Brad Smith, and don't forget he can throw pretty good too, as old Missouri quarterbacks can.
There's a little swing out to Cotchery, and Cotchery doesn't get away from the white jerseyed Bengal defense as Leon Hall came up to support Keith Rivers, the rookie linebacker.
And part of this passing attack, now we're seeing swing passes, getting the Bengals to play close to the line of scrimmage, getting their safeties more conscious of the short passes. Boy, you better not forget about Favre's ability to throw deep.
How about the play domination? 20 plays to 3 for the Jets, but the Bengals got the defensive touchdown, 15 yards in Dukeway picking up Favre's fumble. 3rd and 7. Washington and Chapman with Favre in the shotgun. And is that delay? Yeah. Indeed, 5-yard penalty as Favre couldn't get it off in time.
Yeah, what he saw is Marvin White sneaking up from his weak safety spot. He's going to come on a blitz.
Delay of game, offense, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Well, actually, by formation, he was probably, pretty well suited in Eric Mangini's offense to block it. He had both his running backs in the game. Both Jones and Washington were in, flanking Favre at back.
But maybe he had some indecision there. Remember, he's learning a new offense. The terminology is totally different than it was used to for 17 years prior to this.
Coles to the left, Cotchery slotted right, Stuckey far right. On 3rd down and 13 from the 36. That penalty might have field goal implications. Here comes the blitz, and the throw is intercepted. No, dropped. Had it for a moment. Did Jonathan Joseph, diving to try to scoop it off the top of the turf. That brings up 4th down, end of the quarter. Will the Jets go for it or try a field goal? The punt by the new Jets kicker, Richie Hodges. He just punches one down inside the 5-yard line. Fair caught by Antonio Chapman of the Bengals. Played with Brett Favre at Green Bay 3 seasons.
Dan, what happened to the old don't catch it inside the 10, see what happens?
I guess it's okay to catch it inside the 5. You talk about a mental error. That's 17 yards of error there. That ball's got a great chance going in the end zone. And he catches it actually on the 4-yard line.
And this leaves Ryan Fitzpatrick in a very unenviable situation. Because he wants to stretch this field. This offense wants to get the ball down the field, but they're in a must-run backed up.
Only the 4th offensive play for the Bengals to 21 for the Jets, yet we're tied at 7. And the handoff is to Chris Perry, trying to get outside. He loses a yard. Good defensive penetration by Calvin Pace, one of the many unrestricted free agents joining the Jets this year. They have 8 new starters, not here a year ago.
Dan, Calvin Pace, 97, the free agent coming in from Arizona. Done a nice job. He's that rare combination, size and speed-wise, isn't he?
And down this part of the field, a running back cannot try to go wide. He's got to stick it right between the tackles.
Pace and a Dallas Thomas type at 6'4" and 270. Perry again up the middle for a couple. Chris Jenkins and others there for the tackle, and that'll bring up 3rd down.
And that's pretty pedestrian, but exactly what you said about sticking it inside. But that's where Chris Jenkins lives. That's like sticking your hand in a cage and with a piece of meat in it to a bear. You won't come back with much of a hand.
He's a big bear.
Former Carolina Panther that came up here along with Pace to join this Jets defense. 3rd and long. Hushmanzada, good 3rd down receiver in motion. Fitzpatrick throws it incomplete, trying to hit Perry out of the backfield. Didn't have much time to locate him.
And it was a nice job on what looked like a three-man defensive line. Not much of a rush. The zone blitz really made Ryan Fitzpatrick get rid of that thing, didn't it?
Real good quickness too. They put Sean Ellis over the center that time. They took Chris Jenkins out, so the speed of Ellis off the ball right in the face of the quarterback heard that throw.
Kyle Larson averaging over 43 yards a punt will deliver this one from his own end zone. Leon Washington at midfield.
There's movement.
Someone got itchy up on the line of scrimmage.
False start. Offense. Number 86. Penalty is half the distance to the goal. 4th down.
Second game of the year. Kyle Larson found himself in this exact same spot against Tennessee. Keith Bullock blocked the punt, recovered it for a touchdown. And that's got to be going through Larson's mind right now.
He has only 13 yards instead of the usual 15 from the snap.
If he hits it low, Leon Washington will absolutely burn him.
Sends a nice spiral out, but fairly short at the 48. 40. Here comes Washington inside the 35. And the Jets enjoy great field position again. Hernandez Jones, another special teams tackle, along with Brad St. Louis, the snapper. A reminder coming up, the Sprint halftime report, JB and Company, with all the early NFL scores and highlights for you. That's coming up on the Sprint halftime report.
What a great weapon this Leon Washington is. The many different things you can do with this young running back out of Florida State.
Cotchery right, Coles left. Leon Washington in the backfield, double tight end. The quick throw out into the flat to Coles. Tries to elude. Now he's got blockers. Only one man, and that was a great play by the Bengals. Jonathan Joseph, he came up and took out the blocker, and that freed Keith Rivers to make the tackle just when it appeared Coles had a lot of real estate up the right sidelines.
Yeah, they're going to have to give him a road map, though. The end zone is about 20 yards away, straight ahead of him, Randy.
You see that little hand signal that Brett Favre came out from underneath the center with that left hand and kind of waggled the hand, kind of looking at Lavernius Coles like, look how far he is off you. I'm giving you the ball.
Yeah, but when I throw it to you, go towards the end zone. Don't come back towards me.
That means I got a block.
That's right.
Put a neck roll on.
Nevertheless, a couple of yards on the play, 2nd and 8. Washington hit in the backfield, and finally on the second effort, tripped up across the 20 by Domata Peko, the 325-pound defensive tackle from Michigan State.
Jonathan Fanene had the first shot at him, but as you said, Randy, very elusive, and he's only a 5'8", but he's 200-pounder, so you know he's got big, strong legs, and he showed it that time, pulling away from a tackle and keeping his balance.
That's an interesting collaboration on the tackle, gentlemen. Fanene and Peko playing side by side. Both were born and raised in Pago Pago, American Samoa. Thomas Jones now with Favre on 3rd and long. Here comes the blitz from the left side, and Favre's going to throw deep to the end zone. Incomplete. Lavernius Coles had it for a moment. David Jones ripped it away.
Beautiful job. Beautiful protection. Good recognition by Brett Favre.
Well, and what he's looking for is the speed of Coles. And if he throws it out a little bit farther, Coles will walk into the end zone. Coles should have had that ball, went right through his hands. David Jones on his back, but still, that's 6 points that got away.
Jay Feely to try the field goal from 38 yards. Feely 4 for 6. Replacing the injured Mike Nugent. And and this one squeaks through just inside that right upright. And the Jets claim the lead for the first time today. It's 10-7 in the Meadowlands.
NFL on CBS is sponsored by the all-new Dodge Journey. If you can dream it, do it. Dodge, grab life. Burger King, who reminds you to have it your way. And by Charles Schwab. Premium service. Expect it. Don't pay it. Talk to Chuck. Charles Schwab.
And welcome back. The Jets now with a 10-7 lead, and Bengals and their fans hoping that Ryan Fitzpatrick can get a chance to work on this piece of real estate from somewhere farther away from his own goal line. Unable to get a first down, the young quarterback of the Bengals thus far on 2 previous possessions. That's Glenn Holt back to return as Feely, after the 38-yard field goal, sends this one short. On the run, it's Holt. Caught from behind and tripped up at the 24-yard line by Wallace Wright. He's developing into quite a special team star, angular wide receiver from North Carolina. Well, tomorrow it's the most shocking Miami of the year. Don't miss the episode everyone's talking about. New CSI Miami tomorrow, 9 Central on CBS.
Dan, what does Ryan Fitzpatrick need from his coaches and the guys he's playing with right now to have a little success and get some confidence?
Well, that's just it. The key word is success. Completions would help. Pass protection. Maybe a good run. Maybe Cedric Benson in the ball game.
He's in there for the first time. The former Texas All-America, number 32, at tailback, picked up on waivers. Bears released him back in June. Here's Benson, just couldn't find the hole. Tries to get a couple as he churns out across the 25. Kenyon Coleman with the tackle.
You know, how often do you hear the term when you say have these zone blocking teams? And I know Cincinnati's not one of those, but the old make one decision, one cut and go. You saw that kind of herky-jerky back and forth. Do I go? Do I not? Do I go? No. Backs get killed with lack of decision.
Yeah, you've got to take it, cut it back, or just cram it. That time Benson decided to just cram it in there. Got very little.
Fitzpatrick to throw. Underneath, complete to Hushmanzada, takes a lick but holds on to the ball. A little slow getting up as Kerry Rhodes had a running start on that tackle.
Well, it was that first fake that got him. I mean, he pumped once to him and then threw it over the top, and Hoosh comes away a little bit limping.
3rd down and 4 for Cincinnati, and now their top receiver limps off to the sidelines.
And we get our first look at Chris Henry, number 15. 6'4", 200-pounder. Big target, a lot of speed on the outside, top of the screen.
Off a 4-game NFL suspension, played last week, didn't catch a ball. Fitzpatrick better hurry. Just does get it off. Scrambles, stops, and hit from behind. He fumbles the ball, and the Jets have it at the 23-yard line, or do they? Yes. Hank Poteet there to make the hit. The veteran cornerback.
Dan, you mentioned Chris Henry lining up the top of the screen at the right outside. Watch the pressure come over from the backside with Coleman, and then it will start to settle on him. He wants to throw all the way across the field, down the field. That's an inexperienced mistake in that situation.
And I think Chris Henry stopped his route. That's what caused Fitzpatrick to pull the ball back down. But once you make a decision to throw and you're under pressure, he who hesitates is had, and he's probably going to fumble.
Well, hit Gladys in the 3rd row. Don't take a sack and fumble.
And Gladys was open.
Petit forced the fumble, and Pace recovered it at the 24. Leon Washington to the 18-yard line, and the gain of 6 on 1st down. Leon Washington, Florida State, out of high school program in Jacksonville.
There's Chris Henry, and watch the route he takes, Dan. He kind of comes across the field, and then he does stop just when his quarterback needed him to keep going, and he needed to buy a few seconds. He just dead stopped in his tracks.
And that you see that as a quarterback, let it go anyway. The worst thing that can happen is it's intercepted 40 yards down the field.
4 wide receivers and in motion. Then the spin off to Brad Smith on the reverse. And Smith, all-purpose back, is a first down inside the 10 before Marvin White can wrestle him out of bounds. Little razzle-dazzle from Eric Mangini.
Well, I guess we used to call it razzle-dazzle, Dan. It's kind of the way business works nowadays, doesn't it, offensively?
Well, you just try to keep people off balance, and when you've got momentum and you're winning the ball game and you expect to win the ball game, then you run more of these plays. We won't see any of these plays out of the Bengals today because they don't have the confidence to execute them.
That's Smith's second carry. First one was good for 17 yards. Washington, no, Jones this time. Thomas Jones plowing into the end zone for a touchdown. Only his second rushing score of the season. But he's got 2 in this first half today. 1 on a catch, now on a run.
It's all about that left side. Watch the left side of that defense or offense. Beautiful job by Faneca and Mangold and DeBrickashaw just pushing their defense back into the end zone.
And that was that one cut and go that they're not seeing out of the Bengals.
Feely's extra point try. And the Jets now with 17 unanswered points. Thomas Jones with a brace of touchdowns for New York. Thomas Jones traded from the Bears a year ago, rushed for over 1,100 yards, but only 1 rushing touchdown, 1 receiving touchdown. He has 1 of each in the first half today. And a 17-7 lead. Short field after the fumble forced by Poteet and recovered by Pace set it up. Feely bounces this one to Holt, who lets it go into the end zone and will take the 20-yard line. Midpoint of the second quarter, and Ryan Fitzpatrick heads back out onto the field of play. He said yesterday, this is amazing. I'm going to be competing against Brett Favre. When I was 8 years old, I was already aware of Favre and his greatness. Here I am dueling with the master in New York.
So sneak a peek at the Jumbotron while he's out there.
Said, I will admit it right now. If he does something special, I'm going to be watching it on the big screen.
I think I'd have my head in that playbook and those Polaroids on the sideline to see what the Jets are doing to me, not what Brett's doing to me.
No first downs for Cincinnati. And a flag.
False start. Offense. Number 53. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Yeah, it's a new cadence, isn't it, Dan? There's all those things.
Yeah, obviously Guychek must have flinched, but if the center snaps the ball before everybody else moves, how can that be a false start?
I was always taught you could never be offside if you were the center. You could be late, but you can't be offside.
23 yards in penalties for Cincinnati, only 13 yards in offense. Fitzpatrick can't get it to his receiver. Again, pressured hard, trying to deliver it to Benson on a screen.
We saw that Hushmanzada left the field, and Ryan Fitzpatrick hasn't had him. He comes back on. They were taping his ankle earlier. I mean, Dan, doesn't this football team, and I know protection is an issue, but don't they have to stretch the field and get this defense to take at least a step back and a deep breath?
Well, they keep talking about getting on a roll, getting our playmakers to make plays, and yet they don't even throw the ball to Johnson.
There's all kinds of different roles. A few other ones come to mind.
That was Kelly, the tight end in motion. Here's Cedric Benson, and he's hit in the backfield by David Harris. So Benson, the 222-pounder, who gained 1,000 yards in each of his 4 seasons at the University of Texas and was the Bears' #1 pick in 2005. Into trouble in the offseason, a couple of alcohol arrests, but he was cleared by a grand jury, and the Bengals pick him up as his second game in the orange and black of Cincinnati.
And he comes out of the game in this situation because of pass protection, Dick. They want to be sure Perry's in there, so they're positive the quarterback's back is covered.
Boy, Fitzpatrick in a 3rd and 15 hole. Steps up and runs it. Caught from behind and tackled at the 24-yard line. It'll be a 4th and 7 coming up for the Bengals. So still no first downs for the visitors from Southern Ohio.
And they're not even close to getting first downs. The best play in that sequence was Glenn Holt letting the ball bounce into the end zone and downing it for a touchback so they get the ball out to the 20.
As he stepped
and then
up,
they go backwards, Randy.
he had Chris Perry, who had checked the blitz. He was wide open in front of him to run down the field. There was nobody on him.
That was a three-man rush, too.
Kyle Larson to punt it to the ever-present Leon Washington. Washington fields it at the 24. Slips, but didn't go down from contact and able to scramble to the 34-yard line where Dhani Jones able to ground it. Timeout in the Meadowlands. 6:18 left, opening half.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Viagra and by Frost Brewed Coors Light. When the mountains turn blue, your beer is as cold as the Rockies.
Little sneak preview of the superstructure, the new home of the Jets and Giants that'll be ready for play in 2 years, 2010, immediately next door. This stadium capacity 80,000. It'll be a little bigger than that. Brett Favre and the Jets with a 17-7 lead here in the second quarter. Favre dumps on the screen, and Washington wrapped up by Pecco for a loss.
It's hard to miss the man from Pago Pago with a ponytail, and he reads this screen beautifully. Look at him just go down the line of scrimmage and then wrap up Washington and punish him.
He got out perfectly right in between Faneca and Mangold. He read that screen, and Mangold couldn't even get a hand on him.
4-yard deficit.
That's a lot of hair.
You think?
Wow. Life's not fair. Delay to Washington, and again, nothing there for him. Pecco was in on the play once again, along with Antoine Odom. We remind you, it's Wednesday night is showtime. JB, Phil Simms, Warren Sapp, and Chris Collinsworth have all the insights, all the analysis, and all the highlights around the league on Inside the NFL. 9 o'clock Wednesday evenings. Thomas Jones now joins Favre in the shotgun, 3rd and a dozen.
And Dukeway at safety almost has as many yards as the Cincinnati offense with his 15-yard return. Defense needs a big play.
Quick hit to Coles, but he's tackled immediately at the 35-yard line to Dhani Jones. So that not a very productive 3 and out for the New York Jets.
That's a puzzling play selection, too. 3rd down and long, you throw in the quick screen out to Lavernius Coles against the zone defense. That's not going to get anything.
Well, especially with, like you mentioned earlier, Dan, one of the better quarterbacks at pushing the ball down the field we've ever seen.
Reggie Hodges, the new punter from Ball State, to kick it to Chapman, who fields it at the 24. Small crease, and out to the 33-yard line goes Antonio Chapman. 41-yard punt, 9 on the return. Favre and the Jets with a 10-point advantage.
D, and a little bit more D out of the New York Jets today. They've really frustrated Ryan Fitzpatrick and anybody that gets to handle the ball for these Cincinnati Bengals.
They've not allowed a first down. 10 for the Jets. Fitzpatrick and the offense really sputtering. This is their best field position of their 5 possessions in the half at their own 34.
And no passes directed towards number 85, Chad Johnson, yet.
He's out to the right of your picture. Fitzpatrick looking that way and throws complete at the 50, and it is Chad Johnson. Ocho Cinco has a first down in front of Darrelle Revis.
And beautiful job protection-wise, because Kerry Rhodes comes off the edge. Be quite a trick if Kerry Collins was blitzing. Kerry Rhodes comes off the edge and buys that extra time for Fitzpatrick.
Chris Perry in the backfield now as the Bengals finally with a first down. Fitzpatrick throws complete to Hushmanzada. Short yardage, well covered as Kerry Rhodes with Dwight Lowry, the rookie who has moved into the starting lineup from San Jose State. Lowry at that corner. Justin Miller not dressed today.
And you know, as miserable as the Bengals have played this first half, they get a touchdown here. They'll only be down 3 going into halftime, and they've got great field position. And all of a sudden, Fitzpatrick's getting pass protection.
A little breathing room. That'll cause a little confidence.
3 minutes left in the half, and Fitzpatrick rolls and throws. Is it good to Johnson? Yes, he caught it and toe danced down the sidelines, just shy of the sticks in front of Revis again.
Now he now has 98 consecutive games with a pass reception. Has battled ankle injury and shoulder injuries, but he is the playmaker. They've got to get the ball to Chad Johnson.
Got to watch him, though. He's a kissing bandit. He was going to kiss the star of the Cowboys at Texas Stadium and didn't because he didn't score. Kissed his coach instead. Handoff inside and tackled for a loss is Perry. Perry just could not find a hole. Abram Elam up from a safety spot to deny. So a loss of a yard or so. So 4th down comes up.
Look at this front 3 for the New York Jets and what they do against the white jerseys. Jenkins pushes Guychak and both guards, it seemed like, back into the backfield.
Yeah, Whitworth looked like he was blocking another type of play. That's not where exactly he wanted Perry to run. He got stuffed by Chris Jenkins.
Shotgun 4th and 2. Fitzpatrick, quick throw. Nice catch by Hushmanzada, the sure-handed wide receiver from Oregon State, where he played a year of college ball with Chad Johnson. And that's good for another first down as the Bengals are in Jets territory, trailing 17-7. Carson Palmer, a couple of Pro Bowls for him, over 100 touchdown passes, and his 5+ years out of Southern California, the Heisman winner, watching with interest and tutoring Ryan Fitzpatrick along the sidelines. It's a first down at the 36 of New York as Fitzpatrick looking deep down the middle and throws short. Almost intercepted as it bounces off the hands of Hushmanzada, almost flopped into the arms of David Harris and company.
And David Harris makes his catch. He scores. There was nobody around after this deflection. Fine play by Coleman to pop it in the air. Harris just couldn't locate it quick enough.
Drew Coleman doing the defensive work, the 3rd-year corner from TCU.
Outside of that little comeback by Chad Johnson, just have not seen that so-called that threatened stretching of the field from this Bengals offense.
Johnson way out to the left in this pattern. Throw underneath instead to it is to Johnson on the comeback at the 28-yard line. Going to be close to a first down. A little short.
Couple feet off.
And Chad telling his quarterback to get the ball up higher so I can run with it after the catch. Quarterback's got to tell him, I had pressure, man.
Fitzpatrick wedges his way forward for the first down. And Ryan Fitzpatrick has a first down. There are 3 timeouts to use for Cincinnati, and they spend their first. Coming up, the Sprint halftime report. Join JB and company. They've got all the early reports from around the league, NFL scores, and the top plays for you coming up on the Sprint halftime report.
Do you like that decision by Ryan Fitzpatrick, Dan?
Well, the Jets were totally unaware and not ready for that quarterback sneak. What I really liked about it is he didn't go straight ahead at Chris Jenkins. He went off to the right and picked up the first down easily.
Well, why wait until the big guy gets in his stance and is really ready?
I'm sure his center Guychak appreciated it.
Jenkins occupying the center and usually a guard as well. And of course, David Harris and the linebackers just love the big tackle from Maryland. Jenkins, because that frees them up to make cleaner hits. First down, 2 timeouts left. You see the time remaining, 1:28. The throw underneath is complete. Hushmanzada, and he's inside the 15-yard line. Tackled by Revis.
Best play of the game so far for Ryan Fitzpatrick. Blitz right in his face. He planted that back foot and delivered a ball to Hushmanzada and let Hushmanzada get extra yards after the catch. Big play by Fitzpatrick.
Had his choice. Both wide receivers, Henry on the downside and Hushmanzada up top, open on those quick little slants.
Hushmanzada in the slot, Henry outside him to the left. Then the throw underneath, Hushmanzada again. And he's tackled just shy of the 5-yard line as the clock ticks under a minute. Dwight Lowry, the defender.
Yeah, you've seen Houshmandzadeh and all the stats about all the catches he's had over the course of the start of 2007 or so. They have used him almost as a running game. Short passing, let him see what he can do afterwards.
And that route they just ran there is the same route they scored against Dallas on, with Houshmandzadeh in the slot hooking up, and he's wide open, which is really unusual for a guy that catches that many balls to not get double coverage, especially down here in the red zone.
Look at that. Since the start of last year, you had his catches from this year more than any receiver in the league, Houshmandzadeh.
It's funny, for all the hype of the Randy Mosses and all the guys that make the most noise, it's guys like Houshmandzadeh and Wes Welker that have had the majority of the catches when you come to the top 5, top 3 when at wide receiver.
5 catches in this first half today. First down, Cincinnati at the 12. Oh, make it second down, 2nd and 3 at the 12. The throw to the end zone on the fade, and out of bounds. No catch by Chris Henry.
Wow, he was out of bounds, but that was a heck of a stab.
Yeah, ball thrown late. Really never gave Henry a chance to get up in the air. Remember, he's 6'4", working against Coleman, who's 5'9". That's good scouting by the Bengals.
Boy, what an effort. Look at the dexterity there, and couldn't stay in bounds. Ball outside the 5. 3rd and 3. Fitzpatrick looks to the end zone, complete, but tackled Ben Utek. He came up with it, and that's going to be very close. Clock is running, and Fitzpatrick.
They're not waiting for replay. You better get set.
And here comes the whistle, and the play is blown dead.
First charge timeout, New York Jets. 30-second timeout.
Brian Thomas, the leading pass rusher for the Jets, has 4 sacks this year, limps off.
What a catch by Utek in a crowd as Thomas goes over and gets some treatment. But how about number 81 here on the short crossing route? And the pass protection, Randy, is super. He looked to the right, he looked back to the left, came to the middle, and then found big number 81 with a huge first down.
Watch the ball after the catch. Does it hit the ground? I think it does hit the ground. It looks like he almost had it between his knees, but the receiver has to demonstrate control. And that ball's moving there. It's moving. It did have to hit the ground.
That's an incomplete pass.
That would bring up 4th down.
Remember, replays up top. Very smart move by the Jets. Besides the fact they had an injury, don't let that sneak happen that they were trying to get in.
Well, there's been no official review. They go on with the play. 1st and goal at the 1-yard line. 26 seconds to go. Up the middle is Perry, and Perry can't nose it in. Chris Jenkins. Boy, what a force he is, the 3-time Pro Bowler in the middle of that defensive line.
And he's being double teamed every play. Here's the sneak.
And Fitzpatrick dives and scores. Ryan Fitzpatrick leads this Bengal team from their own 34-yard line downfield in the final minutes and seconds of this opening half, and tightens the score. His first touchdown on a snake, and we might say the first Harvard quarterback ever to snake for a touchdown in the NFL.
You saw from that great shot at the side there, that blue helmet that came penetrating across. That was Chris Jenkins in the center of the line. And again, Ryan Fitzpatrick smartly just digs in behind Bobby Williams and Stacey Andrews on the right side and avoids the nose tackle.
And Bobby Williams is no shrimp. He's 350 pounds at right guard.
Now
we're going to review. They should have reviewed that reception by Utek.
Yeah, that's puzzling, isn't it? That based on what we saw, and it's too late to review that play, but they can review whether Fitzpatrick indeed made it into the end zone on that sneak.
Yeah, Randy, I think you're absolutely right. He had the ball, he got hit, he goes down to the ground, and the ball trickles away from his body and hits the ground. That's an incomplete pass.
Yeah, but Ryan Fitzpatrick there, he clearly got in. He dives right in and straight behind Stacey Andrews' feet as he cleared that tackle position. The ball creases that goal line.
Pending this review, it's a 66-yard drive, 14 plays engineered by Ryan Fitzpatrick to apparently pull the Bengals within 3.
And you almost wonder about the Jets defense on that drive. And you think back to what happened last week against 2 weeks ago against Arizona, when the defense got the big lead from the offense and then they just kind of disappeared. On that drive there was no pressure at all on Ryan Fitzpatrick. Real good play on 4th down when Fitzpatrick sprinted out to the right and hit Houshmandzadeh for that big first down. And then the way that the line gave Fitzpatrick time to throw, scan the field, find his receivers. Very impressive drive for the Bengals.
Well, it does more than just score a touchdown. It consumes the clock and leaves the Jets with only a handful of seconds. Eric Mangini, a very happy man when we saw him on Friday out at the brilliant new training facility in New Jersey for the Jets. His 3 sons all have a middle name related to his football coaching. His first son, who's now 4½, Jake, is Jake Harrison, named for Rodney Harrison. His second is Luke William for Bill Belichick, and now he has a Zach. And you can see that on his left wrist he still has the hospital identification bracelet, that plastic bracelet.
The ruling on the field stands. It is a touchdown.
As he names his third son Zach Brett. And it happened by wonderful coincidence that his third boy is born on Brett Favre's birthday, also on Friday. Grizzled veteran. I think he now fits the description.
Oh, he's fit this description since day one.
He fits Grizzly Adams.
Easy now, easy.
Yeah, hey.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with gray beards.
Quite a contrast as you saw the young quarterback Fitzpatrick and the great Hall of Fame to be veteran Favre is the extra point try by Dave Rayner. And the Bengals, after a very sluggish offensive half, put together a 66-yard drive in 14 plays to draw within 3. Well, maybe Favre fits this mentalist idea, and it's a good show, isn't it? In fact, they're calling it one of the best of the season. Simon Baker, #1 new show, full of juicy twists. The Mentalist, a new episode Tuesday, 9/8 Central on CBS.
Chad Johnson heading to the locker room ahead of his ball club. Don't know if he's injured or just wants to get to the Gatorade first.
One thing you don't do on this kickoff is let Leon Washington have a chance to return a big one.
Now, with his speed and the way that Mike Westhoff organizes the special teams of the Jets, there's no time to be safe with Leon Washington.
He has a 46-yard kickoff return earlier in the first quarter that set up the opening touchdown for the Jets. That was after Favre's fumble had been taken in 15 yards by Ndukwe for the Bengal score, the first of the game. So Rayner, we'll see just how deeply he kicks this one. Now he's just going to hit a line drive, and it skips by Washington, so no chance for Washington. He takes a knee, and Favre and the Jets have 8 seconds.
Leon Washington and Brett Favre more than likely will have that in common. They will both be taking a knee here with 8 seconds to go.
And we talked about how Fitzpatrick might have been watching the Jumbotron of Favre. I wonder if Favre was watching the Jumbotron of Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, screaming he didn't get in. That was a fumble. A couple other things.
That really is puzzling why they didn't review that catch by UTEC, or non-catch, if you will.
And he's just going to kneel down here as they're in the protective formation. And that'll do it for the opening half here at the Meadowlands. Defensive touchdown, and Ndukwe started it, then 17 unanswered by the Jets, and then that long drive, and Fitzpatrick makes it 17-14 at the intermission. And we'll be back with a Sprint halftime report after this message and a word from your local station. First half, it was a Favre fumble, and Ndukwe 15-yard touchdown that got the scoring started, but back came the Jets. Thomas Jones on a catch wide open, and then he returned the favor from 7 yards out on this run, and then Fitzpatrick with a sneak to make it 17-14 at the break. Bengals will get it first, open the second half with it 17-14. Jets in the lead. We return to the Meadowlands after this message and a word from your local station. Getting ready for the second half. Favre will have to wait. Fitzpatrick and Bengals will get it first. 17-14 the score, not without some controversy on that final drive for a touchdown to end the half. Fitzpatrick on, remember, it was 3rd and 3, threw a pass. If it's incomplete, it's 4th and 3. Bengals have to go for the field goal, but it was not called incomplete, and here it is again. What do you think?
Well, Mike Pereira, the director of officials, confirmed with the officials here upstairs at replay, was judged down by contact, that he had control and the ball didn't come out until after he went to the ground, until after the contact was made. Dan?
Well, it makes you wonder what they're looking at, because clearly he did not have control of the ball. He did not control the ball all the way to the ground, and the ball came loose and he scooped it back up off the ground. That's 4th down. That's the field goal teams coming in. Instead, the Bengals get a huge touchdown. And what a great drive led by Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, it was. So that's a 4-point play for the Bengals.
And again, it's in the last 2 minutes. So it wasn't like it was a case where someone could throw a review flag. It was all upstairs.
A reminder here on CBS, the action on this beautiful day in the Meadowlands is brought to you on HDTV. Now, the Bengals seemingly outclassed for most of that first half, but they get the defensive touchdown and that long drive, 66 yards at the end of the half for another score to make it a 3-point game. Feely to kick it off. Glenn Holt at the other end.
It wasn't seemingly one-sided, Dick. It was one-sided until that last drive.
That's right. They didn't have a first down. This one driven 3 yards deep. Out comes Holt. Has a crease. Still on his feet to the 38-yard line. First half passing yards. Look at the statistic. This is surprising. 70-59. Bengals had more passing yards than Favre.
What a difference a drive makes.
The turnover, of course, led directly to 7 points. That was the only action the Bengals could get on the scoreboard until that final drive. And now the momentum, surprisingly enough, is wearing Bengals stripes.
Yeah, a little bit. I think it remains to be seen if this Jets defense can't just reapply that pressure they had for the entire first half, except for that last drive.
Fitzpatrick from Harvard, the quarterback, replacing the injured Carson Palmer. Palmer not in uniform today, but is on the sidelines. This is thrown in the screen incomplete, as that play was botched up by the defense of the Titans. They're trying to get it to Perry. Eric Barton was right in the thick of the screen.
That's exactly what you talked about, Randy, is coming out aggressively on defense.
And watch the right hand just slams right into the side of the head of Fitzpatrick. I got to think that's kind of getting away with one by Eric Barton, as much as officials flinch when they see quarterbacks getting hit in the head.
And I guarantee you, if somebody hit Favre in the head like that, there'd be 4 flags thrown.
Well, there's a natural inclination to make Harvard guys earn it, or what?
Well, they got to play the hard knock school a little bit sometimes.
Those 18-year vets that are going to the Hall of Fame get a break. Huh?
You bet.
Second down play and a give to Perry. Nothing there. You run in the area of Chris Jenkins, which is from guard centered to the other guard, and you're not going to get much. Punt, no first downs until the middle of the second quarter, and then the 66-yard drive with Fitzpatrick getting the payoff on the 1-yard sneak.
And Dick, remember, what's not on that drive chart is that Ndukwe returned for the touchdown on the far fumble.
Often difficult to overcome a defensive touchdown, but the Jets are ahead by a field goal now. 3rd and 10. 4-man rush. Fitzpatrick just does get it off, and it's complete to Chad Johnson, and he has a first down, ducking out of bounds on the Jets' 48.
Yeah, the Jets gave the look like they were going to bring pressure on 3rd down and long. A lot of teams will bring the pressure, make the quarterback throw the side adjustment. But Fitzpatrick very cool in the pocket, stepping up into the perfect hole in the pocket to get that ball out to Johnson. And he takes a heck of a shot here from Calvin Pace.
He stayed in right to the last second to take that hit, too.
4th catch for Chad Johnson, 44 yards today. First down at the 49 of New York. And Perry stop, start, no gain. Chris Perry, who's had a tough year, 239 yards rushing coming in, that led the Bengals, but his average per rush only 2.8, and that's a couple of 3 lost fumbles thrown in.
Well, Marvin Lewis is obviously a very patient gentleman with a guy that's drafted where they got Chris Perry, because between that run per, or yards per rush and the fact that he's putting the ball on the ground 5 games in a row, wouldn't play for a lot of guys.
Fitzpatrick has it, fly swatted down as he tried to get it out in the right flat to his tight end Dwight Lowry off the corner on a blitz, able to knock it away.
I thought it was interesting in talking to Eric Mangini about number 34, the rookie from San Jose State, who doesn't run particularly fast, is not particularly big, but what he is he's a ball hawk. 13 interceptions in just 25 games for the Spartans back in college. Good play that time.
Set a school record as a junior with 9 in one season. 3rd and 11. Actually, it's closer to 11 than 10. Fitzpatrick chased out of the pocket. Fumbles the ball. It's free. And as Calvin Pace ripped it away, Fitzpatrick may have been able to draw it back into his body. There was a big lineman coming in there to help out as well.
Yeah, I don't care how good a scrambler you are. You have to know when to hold them and know when to fold them.
Yeah,
when you get spun around against a 3-man rush, you're just not going to run away from people like Calvin Pace.
And learn to tuck that ball in there. That ball's just kind of floating in there between his belly button and his sternum, just saying, please hit me.
So the Bengals drive ends with another loss at the 45, and Larson to punt it to Washington. Leon's not going to fair catch from the 10. Reverses. He's fun to watch out to the 23-yard line. Oh, Brett Favre and the offense of the Jets on the field when we come back to the Meadowlands. Comparisons, Fitzpatrick actually with 14 more yards than Brett Favre in that opening half passing, despite the fact that Favre was 13 for 16, only 75 yards. And off inside, Thomas Jones, good inside runner, gain of nearly 5 on first down.
Remember, give a little credit to the Cincinnati defense from the standpoint that they've limited a lot of what Brett Favre can do down the field, and he's relied a lot of the yard after catch, and that has been a rather rare species here. They've gotten a lot of completions, but not for a lot of yards.
And you look at the age of the secondary, 3 2-year guys and 1 3-year guy, so they're doing a heck of a job. Mike Zimmer's got that secondary well coordinated.
Yeah, with Dexter Jackson out, Marvin White, who's only 24, is the oldest of the back 4 on that defense for Cincinnati. Brett winds up and fires. Caught by Lavernius Coles. What hands by the 9-year veteran out of Florida State.
That is the one thing that Brett Favre has been so impressed with about Lavernius Coles are these strong hands. His hands actually are upside down when he makes that grab. Not the ideal position for the hands, but what results.
29-yard gain.
May not be able to catch it well with your hands upside down, but evidently you can snatch it out of the air pretty good.
Not much problem there.
6th catch for Coles, 53 yards, right back to the air, and Favre fires open again, and it's Cotchery this time. What a pair of receivers the Jets have in Coles and Cotchery, and of course Brett Favre has always had great receivers at Green Bay, but those two are wonderful targets.
I think Favre may have been looking at the halftime stats.
I thought the same thing. He said, I was what for what and for how many yards?
The guy from Harvard? Come on.
Yeah, Nathaniel Baird's blog said that was Pennington-like numbers in the first half. At the 24-yard line, another 18-yard throw, and Favre in the second half leading the NFL. 80% completions.
That's good.
Yes, sir. And on the ground, Jones crushed down after a yard or 2. Antoine Odom, who forced the fumble early in the game that was taken 15 yards for a touchdown by his teammate Ndukwe, made that tackle.
Yeah, I'll revisit it a little bit again, Dick. You know, Brett Favre needs help. They've got to develop, and he's doing well, and it's a nice drive, but they better develop a good, solid running game. And this offensive line, by reputation, allegedly is supposed to be a group that can run block well.
brother of Julius Jones. Thomas Jones, the tailback, fake to him. Favre buying time, flag down. Throw is intercepted on the far sidelines, and coming up with it was Marvin White. And Marvin White, we'll see if this counts. If it does, we had a chance to visit.
Offense, number 86.
And it will.
Penalties decline. First down, Cincinnati.
White
Timeout.
left our interview yesterday with a CBS cap, and he said, wow, my first CBS cap. How about, wow, my first NFL interception off Favre. Marvin White, second year from TCU, has his first professional interception, and it comes off Brett Favre. Bengals deny the drive by New York and have it at their own 3-yard line. Cedric Benson in the backfield. He takes a handoff and pulls his way out across the 5-yard line. For Brett Favre, whose numbers are astronomical, on his way to the Hall of Fame with a touchdown today. He's up to 455 of those, and that interception was his 293rd. Where do you stand in that list, Dan?
Well, that's 51 more than I ever threw.
Okay,
he threw 201 more touchdown passes. He's sneaking back up.
To the 6-yard line on first down goes Benson. That's Hushmanzada splitting out to the left. Benson again, same play, and produces only another yard gain. Sione Bouha from Utah made the stop.
Pressure back on this offensive line of the Bengals now with a obvious passing situation on 3rd down and 5. We'll see how Fitzpatrick handles this pressure.
If they're going to bring that Sean Ellis nose tackle defense back on the field, get some of that face pressure right in Ryan Fitzpatrick's grill.
Shotgun with Perry with him. Chris Henry is way out to the left. They're going to throw deep down the right sidelines to Johnson, incomplete. So they send Johnson streaking down the right sideline and Henry down the left sideline, trying to look for something huge. Good coverage by Elam and Lowry.
TJ Hushmanzada on the other side of the field. As you can see, that Johnson was not expecting this bomb. He started to coast when he got by the corner. That ball was overthrown by about 5 yards.
Well, he looked up and saw Abram Elam coming over and shifting over in his position. I think I told him that he wasn't going to get the ball. Survey says wrong.
Leon Washington comes up the field. This short punt by Larson at the 46, 40, 30, and down at the 25. What a weapon he is. A 4th-round pick out of college was Leon Washington out of Florida State. It was a pick that the Jets got when Herman Edwards went to Kansas City, and the Chiefs gave them a 4th. And what a number 4 Leon Washington is. That's 22 more yards on the return.
He averages 12.5 yards per return. Anytime you got a guy that can do that, you're going to get great field position, as the Jets have one more time.
And guys like that, when they're returning kicks, are just flat hard to find. It's against human nature to run full speed at 10 guys trying to knock your block off.
From the 25, another short field for Favre. Jones inside the 20.
Jones real close to busting that one. Just got taken down by one leg, or he might have been in the end zone. That was a good job by Brandon Moore and Damian Woody on the right side.
Robert Gathers with a tackle. The Jets have suffered in this 3rd quarter this year, scoring only 7 points to their opponent's 38. They've recovered from the interception deep inside the 5, and now Favre trying to add to that 3-point lead. Right back to Jones. Good defensive thrust by the Bengals.
And trying to run the same running play 2 plays in a row, and that time Gathers just stuffed it up.
Well, you're bringing Alan Faneca from that left guard spot with a play that he ran so well for the Pittsburgh Steelers, that just flat power play. You're trying to get it up inside the tight end and lead right on the linebacker, and there's nowhere to go.
And we welcome those of you watching elsewhere to the Meadowlands. The Jets and the Bengals. 3-point lead for New York. 3rd down and 3 here in the middle of the 3rd quarter. Brett Favre to throw. Hits. Goes down. Almost wiggled his way out of that trap. But he's sacked back at the 26-yard line as Frosty Rucker has his 3rd of... Well, his first sack this year. He also has a couple of forced fumbles, the former defensive end at Southern Cal.
That's just a collapsed pocket. Initially some time, some space, and then Frosty Rucker comes free, was being blocked by Alan Faneca, came scraped off a game inside and gave him a clean shot at Favre.
So Feely will attempt a 43-yard field goal. And it's right down the middle. Feely, that's his longest of this year for the Jets, who build their lead to 6.
Hey, man.
Touchdown and an interception and a fumble, taken 15 yards for a touchdown early in the 1st quarter by Ndukwe of Cincinnati against Ryan Fitzpatrick. Only his 5th start in the NFL, young man out of Harvard University. And he led the Bengals to a 66-yard drive at the end of the 1st half for their only offensive touchdown. 20-14. Out comes Glenn Holt. He's running out of speed and chased down from behind by the veteran Ahmad Carroll. Carroll with a good special teams tackle. Timeout in the Meadowlands.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Pizza Hut. Get loads of melty cheese with the stuffed crust pizza, only from Pizza Hut. And by FedEx, your ultimate NFL air and ground player.
And from Central Park in downtown Manhattan out across the river to the Meadowlands, where the Cincinnati Bengals, trailing by 6, looking for their first win of the year. And Fitzpatrick swings it out in the flat to Chris Perry. And Perry right back to the line of scrimmage. Darrell Revis up to make the tackle. Well, this young 25-year-old making only his 5th start, and he led his team on this drive to a touchdown to end the half.
Finally got good field position and made the most of it. Made a couple of smart plays with that quarterback sneak for the touchdown. Caught the Jets off guard.
And having that pass protection was the biggest difference in that last drive of the 2nd quarter.
2nd and 10, no gain on 1st down. Chris Perry now, the tailback. 3 wide receivers. Pick throw, complete. He drilled that to Chad Johnson. He had to thread that through 3 or 4 of those throwback blue jerseys of the Jets.
And he gets a little handshake from his quarterback, because receivers love the slant pass to be thrown right to their body. They can just grab that ball and absorb the hit.
And absolutely, and just stuck in between 5 Jets. I mean, that had to go right off the ear hole of the linebacker Barton, who was dropping into that zone.
Got the ball between the Ocho and the Cinco.
His 5th catch, and Hushman's out on the other side. 5 catches as well. 1st down. Little delay to Perry, but again, short yardage, and Perry just unable to wiggle free and get through that 2nd line of defense.
When a running back has fumble problems, it makes him hesitant as a runner, because he's thinking about holding on to the ball, not fumbling, because if he knows if he fumbles, he's going to get yanked out of the game. So Perry, to me, right now, looks like he's more concerned with holding on to the ball than making yardage.
And if I'm Marvin Lewis on the road, I'd rather he hold on to the ball than fight for the extra yard.
Got only 25 yards rushing today, the Bengals, on 15 tries. Perry again tries to sweep and gets a little more before he's bounced out of bounds across the 35-yard line. Short of the 1st down, Eric Barton making the tackle.
Now here's a down. If you're the New York Jets, you've got to have, you can't have selective amnesia. You've got to remember that this young quarterback, Fitzpatrick, can get around in the pocket pretty good. So if you only rush 3, you don't blitz, you don't get pressure, you better be aware as you drop back into those zones that he can run and hurt you with his feet.
And be looking for number 84, Hushmanzada, at the bottom of the screen.
Chad Johnson at the top of the screen. Shotgun, needs 5 for the 1st down. Quick throw right through the hands of Chris Perry. That ball was there and leading him upfield.
Oh, that would have been a first down and then some. That ball, as you said, Dick, just blazes through his two gloved hands.
Wow, you could lose a thumb catching the ball like that.
Now out comes the punt unit for the Bengals, and Kyle Larson to kick it to Leon Washington. Now, Washington has been the top offensive performer in this game. And Larson not going to give him much of a chance. A very short kick, fair catch at the 28. Only a 36-yard punt by Larson, but no return by that dangerous Leon Washington. Timeout, 6-point lead, New York. Ryan Fitzpatrick with a rest as Brett Favre now, and the Jets offense start at the 29-yard line. Thomas Jones, the tailback. Underneath, complete. Thomas Jones tackled at the 35, a gain of 6. Rashad Genty makes the stop. Say, fans, you can go to NFL.com's Game Center during today's games for real-time stats and listen to complete live game audio with NFL.com Field Pass. It's only at NFL.com/Game Center.
6 yards on that first down, Dick, gives Brett Favre a heck of a position here.
Talk about Game Center. How about Brett Favre? Plenty of games still in the old man at 39. Quick throw underneath, complete to Close. He fumbled the ball, or was it incomplete? Incomplete. That ball almost bouncing forward into the hands of the eager Bengal defense.
Again, it was a signal that Favre gave to Lavernius Coles. He raised his right hand up by his face mask. Coles got the signal, ran the slant route, but couldn't make the catch. Got it inside of Joseph. Ball thrown a little bit low.
So they're bringing that blitz inside, leaving Coles manned up like that on Joseph. That had to be what Favre was indicating. He saw that blitz coming. Just going to pop it in over the top.
Third down and 4 with Washington and Chapman in the backfield. Shotgun with Favre, who's 1 for 7 on third down conversions today. He's got another one here as the complete pass to Washington. Whenever they need some important yards in this game, there's the man they call, Leon Washington. He's not small, he's just short. He's at 5'8", but carries over 200 pounds.
I mean, he's seen every defense known to man. He probably sees them in his sleep. There's nothing that will surprise Brett Favre that a defense can throw at him.
Just with the Jets, they might have a few different names.
And some of the names are the same as they added Green Bay, but they mean different things, huh? Look at this spread formation on first down.
57's the Mike, he said.
That's middle linebacker Jones. The pump fake, and then the throw is almost intercepted as Dhani Jones and Chris Baker were both reaching for that loose ball.
Ball thrown just slightly behind Baker, but again, he got one hand up on it. And all these old quarterbacks will tell you, great pressure that caused the ball to be behind. And Dhani Jones and Ndukwe had a shot at that. That was some pressure in the face of Favre, and that's what Marvin Lewis said we have to do, is get pressure right in his face.
And Bubba Franks was working on that Mike 57 to Dhani Jones.
Thomas Jones now at tailback. Fake, and then the draw goes to Jones out to the 45 on a pickup of 4. Keith Rivers, the top draft pick of the Bengals out of University of Southern California, makes the stop. At USC linebacker legacy, Junior Seau, Willie McGinnis, and on and on and on. And here's the new generation in Rivers.
There's about 3 or 4 that are going to be drafted this year that'll add to that legacy. It just keeps pumping them out.
3rd and 6 for Favre. The old blue and gold of the New York Titans, the first 3 years in the American Football League. And they became the Jets and changed to green and white in '63. Off balance, typical Favre, complete to Bubba Franks. Bubba Franks, his big tight end, make that Cotchery, 89, not 88, who has the catch.
This incredible ability to throw off balance. He's done it from day one. Fadeaway strike to Cotchery for the first down.
In all your years, Dan Fouts, you see anyone do that any better than Favre?
Just John Elway, and I don't think Elway threw it as off balance as off many times as Favre does.
End of 3 in the Meadowlands. And we open the fourth quarter here at the Meadowlands. Dick Enberg, Randy Cross, Dan Fouts. Pleased you're with us on this glorious October day in the East. Brett Favre and the Jets with a 6-point lead. First down at the Bengal 42. Jesse Chapman now a tailback. Eastern Washington in his 6th year, and he gets a rare carry. Just off the suspended list after 4 games, an NFL suspension. Chapman played with the Chargers and Miami last year. We had his best year.
Young man getting a little playing time. Pat Sims, the rookie out of Texas, his last half a dozen plays or so is really coming off the ball. He clogs up that hole inside. That makes the running back bounce outside. He's got one heck of an initial get off. He sees that ball quiver. He's going to be coming.
He's from Auburn, the rookie picked in the 3rd round at 320 pounds. It underneath, complete to Chapman, and tackled by Pecco.
Holy cow. Yeah. You know, Brett doesn't miss many often. I mean, as far as reading defenses and finding open receivers, I think he came off his primary receiver a little too soon that time. Lavernius Coles had a touchdown. Nobody within 10 yards of him, so maybe 15.
You're saying the open guy wasn't the one being covered by the defensive tackle? Here's Lavernius Coles working on Joseph right here. A chuck, a release. Released him to the tunnel attendant at the end of the field.
There certainly was no safety pickup, was there? So 3rd down and 8. Leon Washington back in the game. Joins Favre in that shotgun. Quick throw, and what a catch again. Cotchery this time, spearing the first down in front of Jonathan Joseph.
This is what these receivers love about number 4. He gets the ball to them quickly and in places where they can make the catch and make yardage after the catch. Look at this perfect slant route. Nice and high. He can catch it with his hands. Shield it. Defender with his body, pick up a first down.
We were talking to Cotchery. What's it like to catch the Favre's pass? He says, that dude can zip it.
He's gone through some gloves, hasn't he?
Ripped a couple of his gloves in game action. Favre's fastball. And off inside the Leon Washington. Down to about the 26-yard line. A gain of 3, maybe 4. Orion Harris getting more action than he has any time this year at defensive tackle.
You know, one of the fun things when you talk to defensive backs and you ask them about quarterbacks, you got a kid like Ryan Fitzpatrick. He won't frustrate a defensive back like a Brett Favre will. You talked about that ball placement, and Brett Favre can actually spot it in specific body areas. Joseph had nice coverage that time. Favre just put it in the perfect spot.
With the zip on it.
Favre checking that defense. 2nd down and 7. Here comes the blitz. Off the corner. Favre's got to hurry now. Incomplete. Washington trying to hurry that ball into his grasp on the screen to the right. And that was Marvin White, who has his first career NFL interception coming in on the safety blitz.
Well, I'll tell you what, this defensive line must be extremely well schooled and taught how to react to a screen, because every time they try a screen, New York does, there was a Cincinnati defensive lineman all over the running back.
Dick, you talked about the first CBS hat Marvin White got last night. He's got his first NFL interception, almost had his first sack there in the trifecta for him.
He was smiling broadly yesterday. He'll really be happy if he can get all that package and upset win here today. Oh, Brett got him with a hard count.
And then he almost threw an interception to Odom.
Well, last week, he thought he had the defense offside when he threw that ball across the field that got returned for a touchdown, too.
Yeah, this one was pretty obvious. He got 2 guys in the neutral zone.
False start. Offense.
Oh.
Number 29 simulated the snap. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Leon Washington. And the 5-yard penalty goes the other way. So that was a big drop by Antoine Odom.
It's amazing, though. They whistled the play dead, it appeared, though.
Well, that's true.
So I'm not sure why they did that.
Welcome to the Meadowlands. The Jets and Cincinnati. Cincinnati looking for its first win of the year. The Jets are 2-2. Favre in the shotgun. 3rd and long with a 6-point lead early in the 4th quarter. There's the deep throw down the sidelines. Batted in the air and intercepted by Cincinnati. Back comes Corey Lynch. And Lynch, a rookie from Appalachian State, has his first NFL interception. It was Jonathan Joseph who knocked it away from Cotchery, and Lynch in the right place for the Bengals and the pick. Rookie Corey Lynch's first NFL interception positions the Bengals at the 8, denies the Jets. They were in field goal range and a chance to build a 9-point lead. So it remains a 6-point game. Ryan Fitzpatrick handing it off to Chris Perry, and Perry out to the 9-yard line. Gain of 1. There's Lynch, who married Billy Graham's granddaughter.
Well, watch Brett Favre give the signal to his receiver on the outside, run the fade. You think that Lynch might have seen that signal as he comes over to help out Joseph and gets the carom.
Well, his major, he got a degree in applied physics, did Corey Lynch. I haven't seen many of those on a bio in the NFL.
Or in this box.
Incomplete over the middle. No flag as Perry out of the backfield, covered by Eric Barton.
Now, Corey Lynch has had a couple of good years. Last year, they go into the big house and beat Michigan. And today, he picks off Brett Favre for his first NFL interception.
And he was the kid that blocked the field goal.
Yes.
Michigan trying to win it in that game. All right, 3rd down. Long. There's Lynch. Pride and joy of Appalachian State.
Back into the game came Chapman and Henry. They're deep threats. The run after the catch is in play.
Jets show only a 3-man rush, and that's all they bring. Fitzpatrick throws underneath, and it is caught by Houshmandzadeh. What sweet hands he has, and it'll be good enough for the 1st down.
Yeah, that's the big thing, Dick, is he ran beyond the yardage needed for the 1st down. That way, if he catches the ball, he doesn't have to worry about running for the 1st down. That's a smart receiver.
And you talk about pass lane integrity by the defensive line. That was not pass lane integrity, because Ryan Fitzpatrick had that obvious gap in the defense to step up and buy him the time to get that ball to Houshmandzadeh.
10.5 left in the 4th quarter, trailing by 6. The Bengals have never won on this field. They lost in overtime to the Giants this season. They're 0-3 against the Giants and 0-6 against the Jets. And that, combined with Marvin Lewis trying to shake out of a 5-game losing streak to start this season, that's never happened as a head coach in Cincinnati to him.
I mean, if they're going to run the ball, I'd sure like to see Cedric Benson in there for Cincinnati running the ball a little bit more. I mean, Perry almost looks like he's looking for a place to fall down as he's protecting the football.
Apparently have an injured Jet on the play.
Chris Jenkins, the big nose tackle, shaken up.
You know, the Bengals have had some close calls this year. They've gone down to the wire, as you said, Dick, here with the Giants last week against the Cowboys. Down to the wire, but that wire's been a piano wire.
Well, not to mention, I mean, that last time they were here, that overtime football game, they battled back and kept doing everything. And Marvin Lewis says, I mean, if we can get one, obviously you always want the first win. You don't care where it comes. But if it was to come on the road in these conditions, it'd be even sweeter victory.
Now, confidence so important for a struggling team without their great leader, Carson Palmer. This would give the Bengals obviously a huge boost.
And keep an eye when Chris Jenkins comes back in this game. You saw those prime words he had for the offensive line of the Cincinnati Bengals. He's going to be, he got a few shots in the chops on that last play. That's what took him out of the game.
2nd and 7, shotgun Fitzpatrick. They come with the blitz this time, Harris, and they get through for the sack. Brian Brian Thomas was there, and Harris initiated that just charge up the middle. 4 sacks now for the Jets.
What a great advantage. The forklift move was brought in by Jumpy Gathers years ago, and Harris uses the forklift move on Perry. The running back just picks him up and shoves him back into the quarterback's lap.
And uses Brian Thomas to get a half a sack, but that's embarrassing for Perry to be bulldozed, forklift, any other type of farm equipment you want.
Into the Farmer's Almanac for a description. 3rd and 15. Can Fitzpatrick plow his way out of trouble? Starts to run, changes his mind, well short of the first down. Calvin Pace didn't buy any of the fakes.
Well, we talked earlier about the athletic ability and the special gifts of a defensive player like Calvin Pace. You know, 6'4", about 250 pounds. He plays linebacker and has the ability to do the little okey-doke there with the quarterback trying to run back and forth and put on a few moves. He's selling something, but Pace wasn't buying.
And Favre on the sidelines giving everybody a pat on the back.
He is the leader. Didn't take long for that to be assimilated by the Jets. Here's Leon Washington, returnable from the 41. Look at that quick start. Out of the blocks and all the way down to the 43 of the Bengals. And once again, 5th time in the game, Favre and the Titans, or worn like Titans, but wearing the Jets, are inside the 50.
So were they all not trying to fit one in? He doesn't hesitate to try to put him in small places.
Marvin White and Corey Lynch, each with their first NFL pick in the game today. Favre, who has thrown for 35.5 miles in his career, hits Lavernius Coles at the 36-yard line. New Orleans, Oakland. What's happening there, JB?
Oh, my goodness, Dick. After Jamarcus Russell fumble, Drew Brees finds tight end Mark Campbell with a 2-yarder. Brees is 3rd of the day. Hey, Dick, Brees, 26 of 30, 320 yards, 3 touches, 34-3 Saints. Woo! Randy Cross, Dan Fouts, and Dick Enberg.
Nothing says get healthy as a team more than Oakland Raiders, does it?
Well, we'll find out next week when we watch him play the Jets in Oakland.
When he gets hot, Brees, has anyone burned quite like him? 26 of 30, and that's not the first time. Favre has to use a timeout. You can see he was running out of play clock. How you doing, Brett? You liking New York, are you? Oh, my. The role of Brett Favre being played by Dan Fouts.
Well, he's searching for terminology, maybe. Looking for a read, a signal, perhaps. When all else fails, that signal there will work.
Look, a little smirk. Just funning with you.
I know the feeling.
He's still having fun, that's for certain. There's a quick throw, and it's complete to Cotchery, and Cotchery gets away from the defender. They had him behind the line of scrimmage, and it would have brought up 4th down, but Ndukwe finally required to make the tackle downfield, a 1st down.
If you look at Jericho Cotchery, look at his lower body. He's built so much stronger down below. That's what enables him, I think, to be so good after the catch, Dan, is he can move away, and he's got such unbelievable lower body power.
We've seen some great moves by Cotchery today. That a huge play on 3rd and short for the 1st down.
He deked David Jones. Jones had him behind the sticks. 8 catches now for Cotchery, 85 yards. Right back to this side, and only it's Coles, the receiver this time. Short yardage to the 22, but they're now in field goal range. Are the Jets. Coming up on the Subway postgame show, JB and the company of characters there in our New York studios will bring you all the latest NFL scores. We'll have some finals and all the highlights with them coming up on the Subway postgame show. Cotchery has 8 catches. Coles has 8 catches. At the start today, Coles had 18 catches. Cotchery had 18. You think that Brett doesn't know how to distribute fairly? Up the middle this time is Thomas Jones. And he's tackled at about the 17-yard line, short of the 1st down. Pecco again with a stop.
We just saw a picture of Ryan Fitzpatrick on the sidelines, and he's hoping with all his might that defense in the orange and black can keep the Jets from getting that field goal to increase the lead to 9.
Hey, you've got to think he learns a lot from Carson Palmer, but He's putting a little bit into his data bank watching Brett Favre move this team down the field and get himself in these third and short situations.
And take time off the clock.
Tony Richardson in at fullback. That's Richardson in motion as he blocks for Jones. And Jones has the first down as he dives to the 13.
That's just great patience by Jones, getting in behind his big fullback on the right side behind Damian Woody. Great patience by number 20.
Well, Moore does
to the outside, Randy.
Yeah, Moore does a great job, but in Duquay, he just flat whiffs on him right in the hole.
Jones has had a good day, 63 yards to lead the Jets in rushing. Also has a touchdown running and receiving. First down, 13-yard line. Clock under 5 minutes. Comes the blitz. And he works as a good run blitz as Jones brought down short yardage at best.
Yeah, at some point now, the Bengals are going to start thinking about when they start using their timeouts.
The field goal here is going to give Mangini's Jets a 2-possession lead.
And with every second going off the clock, less time to come back after the apparent field goal. Clearly in Feely's range, and yet the Bengals are letting the clock run down.
And they better pay attention to number 4, too. He's got Brad Smith just splitting out right now. Don't put it past him. Just flip this thing out. Let Smith run with it.
Here he comes in motion to the inside, Smith. And then they flip it out in the flat to Leon Jones, and Jones inside the 10 down to the 5-yard line. Short of the first down, brings up 3rd and short.
You're going against this Brett Favre offense, guys. I think if you obsess inside, you keep bringing that blitz, you think you've got him squirted all inside the box. Favre just gives it to his running back and lets him make the first guy miss and pick up the extra yards. That's a term we hear a lot. First guy missing. In this case, it was Jonathan Joseph.
But Jones made him miss with strength and a good hard cut. You got to give it to the offensive player because that's his job. Make that first guy miss.
Yeah, I guess. I kind of always think defensive guys get paid to tackle.
3rd and a short 4. Favre looking to the end zone. Underneath, caught, but not in the end zone as tight end Chris Baker has his first reception of the day. 1st and goal at the 1-yard line.
Beautiful touch on this because Rashard Genty, the linebacker, 93. Watch him leap into the screen. Just barely brushes over his hands. Perfectly down into the tight end.
Genty 6'2", and D'Hani Jones was right in the face of Favre. Favre with another off-balance fadeaway pass to the 1-yard line.
And look at that clock eating away at the Bengals' hopes. 1st and goal at the 1. This is a 6-minute drive, 10th play. Richardson and Jones. It's Jones diving to the goal line and knows the yes, touchdown. Jones has his 3rd of the day. The trifecta for Thomas Jones.
They go to the 1 tight end, tackle Hunter's at left tight end, and they just power right straight ahead. And Jones wisely follows that Richardson, the lead back that's been doing it for so many years, did it for Priest Holmes and has been doing exactly that for the better part of his career.
And to build the lead, the Jets are going to go for 2, keep Favre out on the field. You know, maybe his best play of that whole sequence is when he called timeout, didn't take a delay of game as he did in the first half that cost him a potential field goal try.
Leon Washington in on the 2-point conversion. Jets have left the Bengals only 2:22 on the clock. Quick throw, incomplete at the goal line. Trying to go right at the goal line to Jericho Cotchery. Broken up nicely by the Bengals, so the score remains Jets 26, Bengals 14.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by MasterCard. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard. And by Cadillac, introducing the 2009 Cadillac Escalade Hybrid.
The Jets now with a 26-14 lead and only 2:22 left for the Bengals. That separates them from an 0-6 start on the year. And Thomas Jones had only 2 rushing scores in his first 20 games as a Jet, and he's got 2 today. Feely. And over an end, Glenn Holt. And Holt smothered at the 30-yard line. Tackle led by Abram Elam. On comes Ryan Fitzpatrick. And no room for error now for the Bengals. They've got to strike quickly. That last touchdown drive for New York, 41 yards in 10 plays. And Brett Favre always looking at the evidence. And Bolt was injured just as Cotchery was injured trying to make the catch on the 2-point conversion.
You got to think the Jets will bring 3 pass rushers and be dropping back 8 people into zones, just making Ryan Fitzpatrick try to fit this ball into somewhere it doesn't belong.
Well, they attend to Glenn Holt. A reminder, next Sunday it's a CBS doubleheader featuring the Chargers and the Bills early. The Colts will battle the Packers, and the Jets will be out in the West against the Oakland Raiders. It all begins with JB and company on the NFL Today. It's been fun watching these guys and how Bill Cowher is growing in the position. I don't know if he'll ever want to be a coach again. He's having too much fun in that studio. What do you think?
Well, leverage is a good thing.
Yeah.
that's why he smiles so much.
That chin looks great at a desk, but looks a lot better on a sideline.
I couldn't agree more. And there's undoubtedly going to be opportunities, as there already have been, but good to have Bill as part of our team. Now Holt favoring that left leg or ankle. He gets a whole pile of humanity twisting over the top.
The ball attracts people with bad intentions. And Holt got a great example there on that kickoff return, especially when you don't go down, you stay up.
Now Ryan Fitzpatrick now needs 2 scores.
And look how deep the secondary is playing, about 20 yards off the ball. 3 defensive backs, very deep.
First down throw is batted in the air, incomplete.
Yeah, the way they're setting up defensively, 3 safeties deep. They actually have 2 other defensive backs underneath them. There will be nowhere for Ryan Fitzpatrick to go with this ball but to try to dump it off short the way he did right there.
And the Jets have gotten good pressure from their 3-man pass rush, moving Sean Ellis over the nose.
That was David Bowens off the corner to bat it down. Bowens has had a couple of sacks this year off the bench and a couple of forced fumbles. Good ball hawk himself. Here he comes again. Fitzpatrick steps inside him and runs it out to the 36-yard line. That'll bring up 3rd down and 4.
And that's the danger of having the 3-man rush, and you're running those X and Lex games. You start crisscrossing, that opens a huge hole right in front of the quarterback.
2-minute warning at the Meadowlands. Back at the Meadowlands, where Jets fans in a good spirit, 26-14. Eric Mancini's team has been opportunistic, at times well in control, other times some errors, a couple of interceptions, a fumble by Favre led to a touchdown. Now it's Fitzpatrick in Cincinnati from the 36, 3rd down and short. Gets the first down to Hushmanzada out to the 43-yard line, but the Jets will give that pass with time ticking away.
They'll give that pass and any Ryan Fitzpatrick scramble for another 8 yards all night long.
Are they saving their timeouts for the trip home?
They've got all 3. There's a throw down the middle, incomplete. Through the hands of Ben Utek, the tight end.
If Utek makes that catch, that's the longest play of the day for the Bengals. In fact, their longest gain all season long was a 36-yard screen pass to D.D. Dorsey,
who's now on the injured reserve list.
And really, the one time they actually tried to stretch was with Chad Johnson down that right sideline. And that even wasn't really close. They haven't gotten the ball down the field at all.
Of course, they're without their #1 thrower, Carson Palmer, bad elbow. hope he'll come back next week. That complete to Chris Henry, his first catch of this new season. Revis, the defender. Ball at the 44 of the Jets.
I guess they're saving their timeouts for the next time they have a possession, which may be next week.
And they play the Steelers at Paul Brown Stadium. Perry with a catch and does get out of bounds at the 43. Short yardage. David Barrett there on the catch. And then his tackle. 42-yard line. 1:10 to go.
And the way the Jets started this drive, Carson Palmer knows full well, watching Ryan Fitzpatrick, that all he really can do is dink and dunk and take a 10-12-yard gain at best, the way they're structured.
Three Jets defenders rolled back at the 25-yard line. Knocked down again and then caught by one of the Bengals. That's Fitzpatrick himself. So he's got a couple of throws complete, a touchdown, and now a catch.
He's the first Harvard quarterback to have a reception in the NFL
from himself.
We ought to give him another hat.
He's getting quite a diploma today.
He's also their leading rusher, and not a lot of this news is good for the Bengals right now offensively. I guess the real positive of this whole thing, Dan, is that Carson Palmer there, you see, given a few tips, is getting a chance to rest that right elbow that was bothering him so much.
Credit to Vernon Golston, the #1 pick at Ohio State. He was in on that last play. Coming up, the Subway postgame show. Join JB and company for all the latest NFL scores and highlights. All coming up on the Subway postgame show.
Hey, Dick, do you think Boomer back there in the studio knows that he was the third quarterback today because Palmer didn't dress?
I bet he would be ready to wheel over here. Yeah, Palmer's kid brother Jordan is the backup quarterback today with big brother injured. That'll be short of a first down to UTEP. And another timeout used by the Bengals or not? No, they're going to try to continue on here as the clock down to 45 seconds. And then the sneak by Fitzpatrick. You don't get the clock stopped on a first down in this league. And it will continue to roll. Now the timeout calls. That's an official's timeout. As one of the
ball's going to be measured here. The ball's on the 34-yard line. Just past the point to gain, I believe.
So that becomes an aid to Cincinnati. They get a free timeout for the measurement. And a first down. And this is where that offense wants to be right up crowding the line of scrimmage. As soon as the chain gang leaves the field, they're going to wind the clock.
And this is where the next play has got to be in the end zone. You got to throw it up high to Chris Henry, number 15, on the top of the screen, and see what he can do against double coverage.
Getting an official review here in the final 2 minutes. Now Marvin Lewis told us yesterday that even though they're 0-5, he was really upbeat. He said, I can't ask more than for my players to work hard and play hard and be enthusiastic. He said, I feel very good about that. No one likes the fact you've got to swallow 0-5 and now maybe 0-6.
And Ryan Fitzpatrick almost got a chance to swallow that ball the way he was tackled and came down on it. Question is, when his knees hit the ground, where was the ball? I think you can tell from that sideline. I think it did a pretty good job of spotting the ball exactly where they put it.
David Bowens makes the tackle here. You see 96 slashing in from that defensive end position.
Come on out of there.
Think the film's developed yet?
That's not that tough a call. And it really, with 34 seconds and down by 12.
Curious review.
Those weren't exactly the words I was searching for, but they'll do.
Okay. Mangini, again, for those of you who joined us late, wife presenting him with their third son on Friday, the same birthday as Brett Favre. There's the hospital bracelet, and of course honored Brett Favre with the middle name of the new son, Zach Brett Mangini. He is 2 years younger than his quarterback. Favre now 39 on Friday.
After review, the ruling on the field stands as a first down Cincinnati.
What a surprise.
Shocking.
So first down at the 39. Not exactly time well spent. Fitzpatrick needs something big. Now he's got room to haul a long one toward the end zone to Henry. And knocked away.
Well, he was in mid-scramble when Henry popped wide open around the 5-yard line.
Well, he should have been looking for him right away. By taking that time, he allowed 2 other Jets to get over there and help out Lowry.
Lowry with good position to make sure that that wasn't a catch over the top. They call him Slim, Henry. You know, lanky at 6'4" and maybe 200 pounds. Fitzpatrick to the sideline. UTEP gets out of bounds, stops the clock. First down at the 23. Hank Poteet, the tackler.
Just padding stats now, throwing little short passes. These have got to be in the end zone. At least give one of your receivers a chance to bring it down and get yourself a touchdown.
Had nothing to lose.
Still 2 timeouts for the Bengals, so they didn't spend them. Bushmanzada and Johnson both to the right side in this formation. And Fitzpatrick down on the sack. The 5th of the day for the Jets. Sean Ellis collects that one, his 4th of the year. Timeout, 6 seconds to go. Boy, the Jets, who have benefited here on a schedule that seems quite kind based on opponents' records. They get Oakland next out on the West Coast. We'll be there for that one. Then Kansas City at home. A good test in the AFC East at Buffalo, and then St. Louis winless starting today before going to Foxborough. Now the Jets figured mid-season to be well on the winning side.
The worry comes in the division for Brett Favre and this football team, with Buffalo and New England after the starts they're at.
The Jets are going to use the timeout here, their second. 6 seconds to go, and this one has to be aimed to the end zone, wouldn't you think?
Well, I don't think the defensive backs will line up much short of that. They've been lining up 20 yards deep. The ball is on the 26-yard line. I don't think a safety they'll use that goal line as basically a bumper.
And Bengals about to go 0-10 here at the Meadowlands. There's their schedule. Pittsburgh at home next week. Then they travel to Houston. And Jacksonville 3 weeks away. This will be in 3 weeks. 2 trips to the Meadowlands, and they lost a heartbreaker to the Giants. Look at this formation defensively. 1 man rushing. And then the jump ball in the end zone, and it's not close to anyone. What a catch by Kerry Rhodes. It went up and one-handed it out of bounds, and that's the end of this one this afternoon. Favre had some high and lows, the high being a 26-14 win. The Bengals go home 0-6. That's the story.